Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. I won't be likely to be able to make a video tomorrow because I'm going to be in court all day and I just probably won't have time. So I'm making this video now with my prediction, and I'm going to front load my prediction so that nobody has to go to the end. My prediction is that the court will, number one, find that Lane Myers is not entitled by right to a bail eligibility rehearing. That's number one. Number two, despite that, I believe the court will grant a rehearing for bail eligibility. Number three, I believe that the rehearing, the court will, even though it could do oral arguments or evidentiary hearing, I think the court will grant an evidentiary hearing. And number four, I think that Lane Myers will lose at that evidentiary hearing, and the court will find by proof evident or presumption great that Lane Myers did in fact commit a felony while he was out on pretrial release for his other felonies. And on that basis, the court will lack jurisdiction to be able to grant him bail and will keep him in custody pending trial. Now that I've made my predictions, a word from our sponsor, NordVPN. It's only for Nord, so if you're a Khajiit, don't apply. Link is in the description. If you use the link that doesn't exist, it's in my description, you'll get at least 10% off the value or cost or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm not actually endorsed by NordVPN, so I still make all of my money just by being an attorney. I'm not monetized. So let's get into a couple basic things. First of all, biases. I do have a bias. My bias is that people aren't incarcerated, period. I always prefer people not to go to jail. I am especially biased against people being held in custody pending trial. I really don't like it. It's not good. It's generally not a good position. I understand that society needs certain people to be held in custody pending trial. I don't necessarily think that Lane Myers is one of those persons. He's not a flight risk. I don't think he actually is going to do any harm. There are conditions that could be put into place that I think would mitigate or perhaps even prevent him from doing any more harm via harassing the victim. That's not the way that Arizona sees it. So there you go. But that is my bias. So that's bias in one direction. In the other direction, I also have a bias in that Lane Myers supporters are dumb as dog shit, and Lane Myers is also dumb as dog shit. And a win for Lane Myers, even though his arguments are completely fucking terrible and wrong, his lackeys will consider to be a win because of his oral argument skills and his legal genius. So, I don't want that outcome because it you're going to say, well, what's the harm of that? Well, it's the whole sovereign citizen kind of harm thing. If people are giving bad legal advice and doing bad legal things and then being rewarded for it, then other people will assume that it's the bad legal advice, the bad legal thing that worked, and not just a judge being like, well, F it, I'm just going to hear the matter anyway, which is, I think, what's going to happen. I think the judge will decide that he is not required to give the rehearing on bail eligibility. But I think that the judge will give it for a variety of reasons, up to and including eliminating the issue from any potential appeal. It doesn't really hurt the judge. He gets paid either way the same amount. He could have a hearing, and it's not going to be a long hearing. It might be an hour or two. It wouldn't take that long. The judge doesn't really have to prepare for it. The attorneys do. Lane Myers does, and really any appeal of that is going to be essentially impossible to set aside, because if you're saying that there's not evidence to support it, it'd be the substantial evidence appellate review, or otherwise it's going to be abuse of discretion. Either way, it's going to be incredibly hard to get overturned on appeal. and there's going to be a lot of factors that would go in. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. So I think the judge will grant it just because let's give the guy all the shots. Let's, he's not going to make it, but we'll let him go through the motions kind of thing. Not saying that the judge is prejudging anything, but the judge will probably just, sure, you could have your shot at it. Just go ahead and do it. Have fun. Knock yourself out. Good luck. And then when it all turns into a pile of shit, the judge could be like, well, denied. Sorry. I think that Lane Myers desperately wants an opportunity to cross-examine the victim or to call the victim as a witness. And I don't think he's going to be afforded that right. Not right. It's not a right. I know people like to, I'm talking to you not as a lawyer. I'm talking to you on a conversational level, or at least I'm trying to. But he won't be allowed to cross-examine the victim. So the prosecutor will be able to make avowals as to the victim's state of mind, and the things that the victim saw and heard and whatever, and would testify to at trial. And the court will be able to consider that as though the victim had testified. The detective may be called to testify, probably will. Who knows? And the videos will almost certainly, at least the sections that the prosecution is relying on, the snippets, not the full videos. Sorry, Lane. Nobody got time for that, and the court certainly won't. But the court will probably watch the snippets that the prosecutor selected, plus maybe a few minutes on either side, just to make sure that they're not being taken entirely out of context, and make the decision based on that. I think based solely on the videos, the court will find that there is proof evident and presumption great that Lane Myers was, in fact, continuing to harass the victim. And I think that once that happens, the court will find that as a matter of law, the court cannot grant bail. The court lacks the discretion to grant bail at that point, once it determines that there's proof evident, presumption great. Now, previously, people asked me why do the courts even have the hearings if they can't grant bail? Well, because in most cases the alleged or the defendant, in most cases the defendant has not videoed and published himself committing the crimes. In most cases, the evidence isn't quite as overwhelming, as it were. There's usually like maybe you have a grainy picture from somebody's video surveillance camera, of somebody who may or may not be, and so a trier of fact would be like, I mean, is this really proof evident? Is this really presumption great? Lane Myers has done the prosecution a grand service by videotaping himself doing it. And I understand that I still get smooth brains in my comments who are Lane Myers supporters, who are arguing that somehow all of this stuff together doesn't add up to harassment. Well, I think you're wrong. Lane Myers' prior attorney thinks you're wrong. The prosecution thinks you're wrong. Every judge who has looked at the evidence in this case thinks you're wrong. So maybe it's you, maybe it's not everybody else. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I just wanted to make sure that my prediction was on the record, so I don't pull a Darcy and try to make a prediction post. I know a lot of people, especially smooth brain Lane Myers supporters, think that I am, for some reason, wanting him to be in jail. I don't. But whatever. So I just figured that maybe if I said it really blatantly kind of towards the front of the video, maybe they'd understand that I'm not actually thinking that he won't get a hearing. I think he will get a hearing out of the goodness of the judge's heart. Anyway, I've blathered long enough. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And good luck to you tomorrow, Lane Myers.